Hey guys, it's Michael from Chess Lifestyle, and I'm actually filming this video straight after my last one. But I just wanted to share with you a question that someone from the Patreon asked me. So one of the Patreon followers, Goji Shak, he asked me a question which was, why are we playing the modern Benoni, not the old Benoni? So the difference for anyone that doesn't know is the modern Benoni, after either c4 or knight f3, we are playing c5. Whereas the old Benoni is to play c5 immediately. And at first glance, it kind of makes sense because when you play c5 immediately, you kind of cut out certain sidelines like the Trompovsky, which could be annoying, and other various sidelines. So it makes a lot of sense. But basically, there is a very important difference, and hopefully by the end of this video, you will understand that. So what first needs to be noted is that in the modern Benoni, there is a line that goes like this, which is basically when white doesn't follow up with c4 to defend the center, but instead plays knight c3. And the idea of this from white is to basically try and recapture with a piece on this d5 square and keep this pawn weak. But although it makes a lot of sense strategically, black actually has pretty easy chances to equalize. And that is why this line isn't really favored at the top level. Like black is going to play knight c6, d6, and try and bishop e7 and try and aim for a quick bishop e6 and d5. And if black can achieve this, then they've definitely equalized. And it's not going to be so easy for be able to white to keep this blockade and control of the d5 square, with precise play from black, of course. That is the first thing to note. Now, when the old Benoni is played, white actually can make use of this line in a more favorable version. So after d5, now if we try knight f6, white can play knight c3. And this time when we play e6, white is actually not going to enter this line exactly and play this move e4. And this is really strong because now if we try and take, white could just take back here and we get into a position similar to what we just looked at. But in fact, white actually has a crushing move here, e5. And the point is that, well, okay, if black goes all the way back to g8, well then white now takes on this square, and with black's lack of development, white is doing extremely well. Black can try come forward, but actually this knight, I think, gets under some pressure. It doesn't really have too many safe squares, so white is actually winning here as well. And finally, if black tries to counterattack this knight, well, white can take and black can take, and then white can play this very, very strong move, the only move, queen e2 check. And this just wins a piece, because at the very least, white can just take with the queen, and white is simply winning. So basically, when we try and play the old Benoni, we can't enter this kind of stuff. We probably instead have to play d6 here. But then white can play with e4, and this is a slightly different game. I mean, we can be slower with this capture, but white can choose whether to take with the knight, whether to even take with the pawn, and we're not getting our desired asymmetric Benoni setup. So basically, if you want to play the Benoni type of structures, it is better to start with knight f6 to avoid this critical e4, because just to reiterate, in this position, the point is you're challenging the center immediately. So white doesn't have time to play e4 and knight c3, in which after take, white could play this move. I mean, if white plays e4 now, it's just a free pawn. So yeah, this is the difference between the modern Benoni and the old Benoni. I would say though that a lot of white players don't actually understand this difference, and therefore after c5, d5, knight f6, you got a lot of players who are still playing c4, which would just go into a normal Benoni. So they could probably try and play for more of an advantage with knight c3, but then again, they need to learn a different setup and understand all the nuances. So a lot of white players just want to stick to one thing against all kind of Benonis. So you definitely can get away with it, but if we're trying to make a repertoire that is going to be able to be played against anyone, no matter how prepared they are, then I would definitely vouch for the modern Benoni as opposed to the old Benoni. So I hope that made some sense. And yeah, that's the conclusion of that. So I hope Goji Shack that helps answer your question. And yeah, that's all from me. So just a shout out to the Patreon supporters. That includes Goji Shack, Chessa Over 50, and Bearfang. Thanks so much for the support. I really do appreciate it, and I will keep working on my opening videos to help improve your chess. So thank you guys all for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.